One car on track, I believe that's enough to start the stream. So here we are. NRL Season 6 Round 2. No viewers. But nobody cares. We're streaming anyway. 3 likes though. 3 likes. It's very nice. Very nice. So Ghost here. Up the castle section. Okay, I don't think I'm going to sustain this for too long. NRL Season 6 Round 2. First race wasn't streamed as far as I'm concerned, so here we are around the Azerbaijan circuit. One which I mean isn't exactly most favourable amongst drivers, put it that way. Charles Leclerc, what would he say? I am stupid. I'm sure he's not the only one. So anyways, let's get our settings up right here. Not gonna lie, I kind of forgot what to do. Here I am. Very nice. And you know what's coming. Long circuit is what we have here. Definitely one of the tougher ones to achieve as well. 1-1 wings on some of the drivers as far as I'm concerned. Don't believe Ghost is one of them though. 90 degrees to the left is what their drivers are going to face into turn 1, into turn 2, into turn 3, 4, 5, 6. As we do have quite a few 90-degree corners, obviously in different directions. But as you can see at the bottom right, they do tend to flip around a little bit. So, if you destroy your wing, you're not exactly going to be enjoying the rest of the lap, let alone the rest of the race. The castle section is definitely one of the toughest elements of the, I was about to say NFL calendar. It isn't the NFL calendar, it's a Formula 1 calendar. Whether it's better or worse, she decide. But Ghost here for the first time on a timed run is going to be going up this castle section, breaking out the 50, going right over that curb. And is he stupid? Yes, he is stupid. Ghost, you are stupid just like Charles Leclerc. Maybe a bit less. For anybody wondering, I'm not being serious. Maybe I am, you decide. Anyways, so lovely little invalidated lap, lovely lack of a wing. And there goes the chance of setting a good lap early on in this session. 30 minutes total. First 8 were spent on setting up cars, so don't expect too many of them on track now, although it definitely is one of the better times to get out if you know your setup, if you have it preset. And indeed, D-Raps the boy, first purple time of the day. .202. Given the trends we have seen last season, I think it's very fair to say we can go below 155. Even the raps, they can probably stretch it. Not sure, maybe I'm the one stretching it right now, but I guess we'll find out. Whoa! I guess we did find out. As Big Man Ofek, straight from Israel, hops in to his fake Red Bull. And with 20 minutes to go, still 150.7. D-Rapster, yeah, you're gonna have to turn it up a little bit here. Doesn't seem as if a 202 is going to be enough for a little while. Welcome to all of you in the comment section, very nice to have you here, very nice. okay, that perhaps the campus car isn't exactly the best choice, or maybe doesn't fit people's priorities, but put it this way. Okay, I was gonna say he's in a better team, but obviously performance is pretty set. Definitely will hurt his former teams now by not being able to deliver points for them. Anyways, purple sector, purple lap I should say, not purple, red. Some people would call it colorblind, others would call me stupid. Others would simply look at the top left and say there's a double yellow flag, which is already gone. You really can see how long this starting straight is. Sebastian Vettel once said that if you were to go the other way, the job would be a lot tougher. Obviously it isn't, because you only have a few hundred meters towards the first corner. If you were to go the other direction, you'd probably have about 2 to 3 kilometers. Super stuffs on most of the drivers as far as I'm concerned. Azerbaijani flags flying around. Purple sector in sector 1, despite the little mistake we saw in turn 1, but it appears... yeah, it doesn't appear as if Kid on Smoke is exactly enjoying himself. Anyways, I'd like you to take a look at our field here. We have Ovek, the Rapster, Can, Ghost, the Baby, Reno, Ben Shapiro, Oscar, Kid on Smoke, Max, Zorba, VS Gamer. Who are we missing? Those of you that were here last season will know who exactly. The man, the myth, the fish. The man, the myth, the fish. Straight from Scotland, not from England, not from Ireland, but from Scotland. That's the fish we're missing today. We're gonna have to live without him. Big rule changes, I guess we can admit, in this season. Something that, according to many drivers, was a long time coming as long, due to the fact that there was a lack of clarity in some places about whether certain moves or post-race reviews were illegal. Drivers argue they were being penalised for no reason. Oh, you've now got a massive rulebook, 11 pages of it to be exact, so enjoy reading that. All drivers back in the pits, apart from one of our fake Red Bulls. We're edging down on meeting the halfway mark of the session, and the majority of the drivers, 10 of them, are still to set a lap. 2 races here, I'd like to remind you. So qualifying definitely will be playing a major role in the possibility of any achievements. I'd like to detect your attention from the middle of the halo. Please do not say that name, or I will be fired. Here we see the car jumping up and down, porpoising, just like the Mercedes, apart from the fact that it's a Red Bull sponsored car. But never too little or too much porpoising in racing, as we have recently found out. So we're about to see some more drives out on track. Yeah, and they are already missing their braking points. Watch out for the runner there when you're moving back and reversing from those little runover areas. Hitting Palmer. Oh no, was Palmer doing this? Palmer should be the one watching out. If you like a little bit of Palmer in your juice, then sure, go ahead, hit the car behind you while you're exiting the runoff area. I take you do not though. I'd like to figure out what NAFA stands for. Let's try to figure it out together. We will definitely get it wrong, but who says you can't try? N. National. A. American. F. Foundation. A. Abdullahi. We got it. National American Foundation of Abdullahi. Very nice. So, Stephen here and Reno, two drivers from the National American Foundation of Abdullahi's, going down the start-finish straight, and the first time of the day they will be setting a valid lap. So here we go, really late break in this Formula 2 cars. Definitely a major risk is being played by many of these drivers here. But it's really close, and you have to admit that if you can perfect a track like this, it doesn't seem as if anything is in your own grasp. You saw on the earlier elements of the track, Steele here was a bit less in favour of touching the curbs. He has started doing so now, and it appears to be something he has definitely pre-planned. Being able to beat that 150 time of Wolfek is challenging, put it that way. And he has already set the purple sector in sector 1, even though Wolfek has improved on his best time. And a spin definitely won't help, unless you turn into a lovely little helicopter and you fly back to the side of finish straight. I don't think that's exactly possible though. Meanwhile, we switch to Big Shack Ben Shapiro, grabbing a lovely purple sector in the middle sector. Really tight through the last little turn there. More of a bend than a turn, but will this be enough for purple? Entire lap? It is indeed. 150.1. Half a second difference to Ofek. So there's that. Well, Ben Shapiro, we're gonna need to try some bit more conservative thought there, because Big Monday Baby comes in 149.9. That 9 sounded very German. It wasn't intended to be. Anyway, 149.9. Oh, a 149.2. I was never good at maths, but I think counting is something I'm gonna have to do today. 10 minutes to go. The majority of drivers have at least attempted a little run around the track. Well, the thinking is behind this dude's gear shifts, I want to understand. And I'm not sure what I wish to. Anyways. Let's try and find somebody on a hot lap. It appears VS Gamer here is. Sets up lovely. Turn 1, 2 and 3. That will give him a purple sector in sector 1, which is arguably, from what we've seen today, the easiest to improve on. But the castle section will be decisive, and a big risk there for VS Gamer, which happens to pay off this time while they're doing something like this in a actual race. Will be safe, I can't guarantee you that, but if you've got a single quality run, you might as well try. So 2 purple sectors, as it appears here. Indeed. So remember what I said earlier, you need that I expected people to go below 155. You've got a guy coming in, potentially smacking that by a good second. How big of a difference this will be, we're about to find out. 149.2, so not a full second there. 149.7, my bad. 0.2 is what Oscar holds. Anyway, 2 teammates in P1 and 2, front row lockout. Obviously in one of the races they will be forced to begin 9th and 10th. Meanwhile, those of you that are interested in footy will probably be interested to know that with less than 10 minutes left in the FA Cup final, the score is still 0-0. Mo Salah obviously went off earlier with a bit of an injury. Alisson appeared to sustain one as well. And as we speak, the Liverpool team attempts another shot, which came about as unsuccessful. Anyway, Durap's the back. His 202 now not much of use to him anymore. So we'll see whether his next lap can hold any improvements. Five minutes left, so drivers are going to be edging towards their final runs, especially given that this is a fairly long circuit. And coming towards the end of sector 1, the Rapster Let's see if it touches the curb. Does touch the curb. Has been quite dangerous over curb in the past. Kids smoke retires from the session. Something illegal according to the rulebook. Unless obviously caused accidentally. But the stewards definitely won't be too happy about those drivers retiring for no reason. That includes off-track, unfortunately. Duraps though, so his first sector hasn't exactly been ideal when compared to others. Doesn't appear the second will be either. Definitely an improvement. So there you go. Baku sector 2. A definitive improvement. P10 currently, but where or he's standing just a moment. Full gas, and that is enough to bring the Rapster back into P1. 149.0 or 0, as my PE teacher would say. So there you go. Drivers now have to compete. Try break that. Oscar is on an outlap. Appears to be preparing for his final lap in the qualifying section. So there you go, sector 3 is one where you can really build up the speed you need. That rhymes, speed you need for your next lap. So there you go, Oscar on a good lap now. From P2, separated by 0.2 of a second to his new competitor, the Rapster. Slight spin and invalidation, meaning that he is going to have to wait another lap to compete again. So the Rapster happens to be giving that baby some slipstream, which, given the fact that the Rapster is still aiming to retain pole, isn't the best. He gets a 148.7, and look at where the baby will end after this. Here's the issue: the Rapster being on a good time, it's a banging time, improves the distance to Oscar, improving it to a full half of a second, but has simultaneously given the baby a chance to close in. The HWA still on track. No invalidations for the baby here. P5 currently. Bit less of a risk into the castle section. Misses the apex there, so it doesn't appear to be going in his favour. Castle section obviously a crucial element of the track. Almost skims the wall there. Just misses it. So lucky him on this lap. Misses the apex though as well. So how close can he get? I would imagine he will be able to beat the Rapster or Oscar with this current time, even with a slipstream. But I guess we're about to find out. And the HWAD baby drops into P6 and stays there. So that time wasn't good enough to let him improve. Neither was the touch of the wall. So Oscar, on another flying lap, last of the day, qualifying session comes to an end, meaning all the drivers with a checkered flag by their names will be unable to set another lap. The rest are still on track, including the baby. Do laps this round. So Oscar, what can you take us today? 2 races ahead of us around the slippery corners of Baku. The order is about to be determined. Let's take a look at Can here. Invalidated lap, so it isn't really going to help him much. Neither is Ben Shapiro's. Max still on a good lap. But Oscar, where can you take us? Sector 3 now coming to a close. I haven't noticed whether he had purple sectors or not, but a purple lap, does he obtain it? He does not. In fact, it did seem as if he kind of eased off towards the end there. That would definitely be on the list of things we cannot explain by nature or by physics. Liverpool comes close to scoring the first goal and decisive goal in the game with 4 minutes left. Luckily for Chelsea, they do not. Luckily for our pole sitter, his competitors do not strike back. 2 laps then, defending against Oscar in the turn 1. That's what you're going to witness very soon. In fact, not once but twice. 13 drivers on the grid. Appears that a few more may join due to penalties involving quality bans. I didn't say Taliban, I said quality ban. Let's make that very clear. Please don't kick me from my job. I may not be getting paid, but it's still a job. Anyway, who likes breadsticks? I'll tell you who likes breadsticks. Fish, Scotty fish. Who, as I have learnt deep into season 5, isn't actually from Scotland, as mentioned earlier. Anyways, all of you are running away because the race is about to start. I hope you'll be back. So there's the explanation for part of the reason why so little people decided to pull through with lovely times today. Because obviously, as you can see, here we have rain. And this isn't some little rain. This is big, heavy, wet tire rain. This is the type of rain where you will die. Maybe not if you're walking down the street, but if you're driving around the streets of Baku, you are risking your life. Opposite on the case of drivers online, but in many cases you may find yourself quite paranoid, claustrophobic in between the tight corners of Baku. How many of them, you may ask? Around 20. What is the best strategy, you ask me? Well, I shall tell you. wets. You then pit. You put on wets. If you have to, you pit. You put on wets. And then ideally, you try not to crash. With no sarcasm intended, that is genuinely the best strategy here today. Think about it, 11 laps in this race, whether the weather will change into the second one is something we will find out, and that isn't exactly something you want to do. I'm getting Vettel v Hamilton vibes here. So, 2 people disqualified from the session for that. Will drivers be on inters? I believe not. Not on this train. I mean, inters are something you put on your car when it appears that there's a possibility of the track drying up. But it's obviously still wet in such a case. This is heavy rain we're experiencing here. Putting inters on could really be dangerous. I don't even want to bring the idea up, but I'm sure somebody would love to try putting slicks on at some point. You see the safety car, the Mercedes, at the right hand side there in the pits. It appears it will be coming out at some point. Oscar already drops in positions prior to the race. Season 6, round 2. Ghost receives a drive-through penalty for a jump start, but we move into turn 1 with the Arab nations of, or I'm going to say not Arab nations, but the Ahmed group we were speaking about, the foundation, moving into P1, off a close behind in P2, Max returns, P3, Ben Shapiro, P4, big moves up behind, and appears that drives are surviving until the moment I say that. There goes Max, spinning around like a roller coaster. Oh, and there is a lot more roller coasters than just Max. And there's another roller coaster. He's moving up and down. Oh, and another one. They all love hitting this wall, don't they? And another one. And another one. Lovely roller coasters here. Maybe let's take a look back at the front of the pack where the actual race is going on. At least I'd like to think so. Virtual safety car, so no more racing. Now hear me out. If Scottish Fish was here, he'd be winning. Think about it. He's a fish. It's wet. Fish like wet. Fishing car around the wet circuit. Fishing car around the wet circuit likes wet circuit. Fish wins. Anyway, maybe let's stop talking about fish and think about the fact that lap 1 is back in on the green light conditions, not green car. There's not such a thing unless we look at the Aston Martin safety car. So there you go, running into turn 1 is definitely going to be very decisive throughout this weekend. You see 2 battles here. Let's maybe take a look a little further down, as there is a side battle vs Gamer with Can. So this is in for P3. VS Gamer goes into the pits. Did he have damage? I believe he may. So a bunch of people going into the pits can... Oh, there we go, another roller coaster. And another one. I'm going to enjoy looking at that corner today. And there you go. So Reno here, regaining his lead, but only temporarily, having to defend away from Offek, and he dives a bit too far and loses not 1 but 2 positions. So there goes Can. You know, so fight around the outside to keep onto the position he has inherited, quite frankly, because it wasn't something as earned as some other drivers might have liked. Although he does get a lovely purple sector here, so that will definitely add the confidence. But Reno here does have the inside line. How will this castle section look is my question. And the fighting allows Harvick to move away. And there you go. So as we're slowly edging towards the long start finish straight, exits from these following corners are going to play a more and more crucial role. And there you go. That is definitely not what you want to do. Because right now, let's take a look, see if we can see anything. Yep, that's the entire wing plate on his right side gone. So he's going to have to drop into the pits. So he can once again inheriting position. But look at this, 2.5 seconds of a gap to Offek. And he might need to hop into the pit himself as well. It looks like he doesn't. So Offek meanwhile grabs himself a lovely fast lap only temporarily. The baby manages to take that from him. And now Can is in pursuit. 3.4 seconds, so within the space of a few corners he has began increasing the gap. Obviously I'm speaking about Offek. So 1 second is now the increase. Slowly falling, but definitely not at the speed you wish. So Kid on smoke gets a 5-second time penalty, then retires, probably raged. What may I say? Don't smoke your kids. So here goes former race leader Reno. Out of the pits with his club teammate. If you take a look at the little intervals at the beginning, at the top I should say, the gap has now decreased from 3.4 to about 3 or 3.1 seconds. So there you go. Can is slowly eyeing himself towards the leader. 8 laps left in the race. And you can see that Reno is actually struggling here. Obviously he was put into P1 after qualifying in P10. But it appears I would have given him some sort of confidence. But clearly it's only giving him issues. And there you go. 2 drivers hit the wall. Forget the wall of champions, man. Why does Canada have to be called that when you can just have people smack into the boys of Azerbaijan? Slight spin there. Oh, would you look at this? I'm sorry if I haven't missed this. I was too concentrated on speaking about the incident with Reno. But it appears that the baby in P2 now is forcing Can to catch up at another position. So you can see a clear correlation here. Not just the drivers who have pitted, who are the bottom. Shouldn't be much of a surprise for you. So Reino's still holding himself up. Or maybe I shouldn't say himself up. But if you take a look, he's ahead of his club teammate. He has started taking this castle section with less caution, more risk. It appears to be something paying off for him so far. But we head back up here because the gap 4P1 has decreased massively from 2.5 seconds to less than half. And there goes the baby. A better run into turn 2 gives him the inside line, and he regains, or I should say gains, because it really isn't a regain, the lead of the race. Can poorly sat in P3. Just moments ago, felt as if he was the one catching up on the race leader. Clearly not the case anymore. I don't look at the massive difference in times. The baby now setting times which are giving him over 1.5 seconds of a gap to the cars behind. That is all you need to know. .7 now. So clearly the fastest driver on track. But the castle section, look how bunched up the cars are after leaving it. So we're only on the 5th lap, it appears as if it is taking it a while. Obviously this is one of the longer tracks, so completing a sprint race in itself is going to be a bit challenging. And there's a little move up here now, as the Rapster finesses the spot from Can. And he's now moving up and at low. Seems as if he's trying to slot in behind Offeg. I see some chat about the DRS, but taking into consideration that there is no DRS under safety, not safety car, but under wet conditions. And there goes the Raptor P2 now for him. And the baby is now on his radar. He has another 6 laps left, including this one, of course. VS Gamer, meanwhile, fastest driver nearly in the previous session, says the fastest lap. Look how close to Rapster now is. Really, now in all fairness, this has played in the favour of Can. Now uses this to catch up to Offeg. Whether he can maintain that distance is another question. I'd like to move up here for a little moment, because as you can see, the Rapster is already slotting in right behind the baby. So suddenly he goes from being the fastest driver on track to the most defensive driver on track, because he's got the fastest guy right behind. Kinda lost a bit of time there. And that isn't going to help him, is it? Yeah. So smacking your front wing and tyres on the wall doesn't exactly help you gain time, is a lesson we have learned right now from Mr. Rapster. But it does give you incentive to catch up on some time once again. As we mentioned earlier, a very long track around the city circuit, straight circuit of Baku. A bunch of 90-degree corners, left, right, centre. Well, the opportunities are often said to be very limited, but I mean, we've seen it here today. I'm not sure, I don't believe we can really tell amount of over this, but you can tell the amount of position changes. I mean, look at somebody like Zorba, 7 position change. The Dreamster 8. Dreamster, I'd like to remind you, is one of the faster drivers here today. He did start in P10 because he was awarded the lovely pole position. It would mean that he will be starting from P1 in next race, but for the sprint race the top 10 is inverted. Now look at this. Even after crashing his car just a lap earlier, very slightly because it wasn't too big of a deal, Dreamster finds himself back in contention for the win. So as I mentioned not long ago, we did not have DRS in the rain, but slipstream is still a very big aid to these drivers. So let's take a look where and to what extent Dreamster can make use of this. Ghost, you can see ghosting. It appears as if the baby has a better front top speed setup, and he does go very wide, which clearly doesn't work in his favour. Now watch this, as Ofek and Can are fighting it off. The battle for the win is continuing side by side into turn 2. Dreamster comes on top, the baby defends, and now Dreamster takes the lead back. By how long? He does go into the braking slightly later and manages to pull this through. Safety car, perfect timing for Dreamster. So the National American Foundation of Ahmed retires Renault's car, and now for those drivers that who need to pit, such as Zorba, they have obtained the ability to do so with minimal consequences. Yep, so overtaking people behind the safety car exactly isn't legal there, mate. Ofek leaves the session. Hopefully he will return. These appear to be some minor issues, and we definitely don't want the driver in P3. He has been doing a great job so far to just randomly leave us. Lap time of 11, so it appears as if we're not going to have too much racing in terms of time. after this safety car concludes. So I clearly hopped here to see how our Chelsea-Liverpool game's going. It appears as if 0-0 is still the score. We go into the second half of extra time. So back racing into turn 1 here. D-Rap's still ahead. The baby had a bit of time to calm down, and there goes a bunch of cars. So Offaker had lost connection, now loses his position. Overall, the baby hasn't though, neither has Can, but Can is starting to merge out of the little area of, well, I should say, out of the time box that allows you to overtake. So unless the baby and happens to make a mistake, he will remain in his current position. Well, second penalty for Max, who drives into the spit lane. Spit lane? Pit lane. Speeding. Not sure why he decided to do so late, given the fact that he had an entire safety car period to do so. It appears if not much is going to change in this race overall. The Raptor has obviously claimed his throne and position in first. And it appears as if he's going to be uncontested for the rest of the race here. Although if you take a look, the baby has a really good front wing setup. The VS gave him, my bad. And going around the outside, he goes almost hitting the wall there, being pushed out by the baby who now has to defend the MP2. We'll see more of a luxury now. He pushes VS Gaming towards the side here for once more. Obviously tight track, as we mentioned before, wide in comparison to other tracks like Monaco, but not exactly ideal for racing. And who will break later? It appears to be VS Gaming. He gets pushed once again, nudged towards the wall, but he held his own and emerged in the lead of this little rivalry for just a moment until the baby decided to come out and smack that second back. A little spin there following a little bit of contact, but it doesn't seem to be too much of an issue for a VS gamer. What does VS stand for, you might ask? If VR stands for virtual reality, VS stands for virtual support. He is one of those scammers, but we always want to see this scammer win. VS gamer, beat the baby. So we have 5 retirees now, and 2 contestants for P2, 3.2 seconds almost, 0.3 now. All the gap is what Rapster holds above P2, thanks to the fighting going on behind. But this is the final lap, so I mean, how much can you do? It appears as if the people will pull through. I reckon if you gave our virtual support staff here one more lap, the result could have been slightly different, and there goes the baby into the wall. He doesn't exactly like that front right tire. And look at his porpoising. You see how on the right side it says engineering speed. They're not engineering speed, engineering porpoising, guys. And there's a little floating tire. I know there might be some more action going on the track, but I think if we have any physicists in here, I'd like to hear your take on why this tire is floating. Anyway, maybe let's forget about it. Max is the only person to finish his lap, and after that the race will finish. Obviously it has done so for some drivers before already. So do Rapson first, followed by the baby VS Gamer, Can, Oscar, Zorba, Stein, please tell me how to read that properly, Ghost, and Mex. 9 finishes the race, so meaning that everybody grabs some points today. So, unfortunate here for a few drivers. I think it's fair to say that while all 4 didn't want to crash out today, the biggest F lies on Ofek. RIP to him. Being in P3 for the vast majority of the race, it was definitely something he was hoping to translate into a finished result. Looks like that won't be what he'll be grabbing today. Durap's the winner of the race, over winner of driver of the day. I think it's very fair to say he deserved it. So we're going to take a look at the finished sheet of times here. So the Webster starts in 10th, finishes first. So he takes P1 in qualifying, takes P1 in the race. The only 2 in his record so far is the fact that he's driving a Formula 2 car. So one little change, or maybe change is the wrong word to use here, but one little challenge is left in front of him, winning the feature race. Would you look at this magic, the track is now dry. Who would have seen that coming? So here we go, formation lap. We're starting from positions from qualifying, of course. So the reps, I think it's very fair to say that he can be dominant this weekend. Grab the third win of the day. VSK obviously wishing for a similar result. Oscar hasn't appeared as strong as the other drivers in the sprint race, although he is definitely a major contestant here. Still missing Scottish Fishman. We need that guy in here. To crash or not to crash? That is a question many other drivers will be asking that today, within the first few corners. Obviously the difference here is that we're not racing in wet conditions anymore, but to call them safe would be quite a mistake. The track in itself obviously always causes major harm, major issues. So now the only thing to do is wait for the lights. Durapster started for the first time today from the front row that he has earned 5 lights. Track goes silent, and away we go. Durapster with an awesome start. Oscar will aim for the inside line, he doesn't achieve it. Ghost is obviously ghosting once again, and there goes the baby. So with the baby out now, Durapster, NRL, Oscar and VSK are going to be the 3 biggest competitors for, well, obviously a long race ahead of us, 15 foot laps. I wouldn't cross anybody out at this point, but we're going to cross the baby out after the crash. Small gaps between all the drivers can here in fourth. Clearly he was having issues last race. I think many of the drivers would have opted out for a setup that would have given them an advantage in both qualifying and the second race here, given the fact that two of them are dry. And there goes Oscar. So P2 not exactly available anymore for some of these drivers. Max and P4 though. Oscar trying to claim that one back. Podium still slightly away now, so overtake going into that corner there. Really smooth. So there it goes, a crash into the wall. I don't know why I switched to Scottish for that one, but here comes Max. With an awesome opportunity to overtake, he's going to have to do so around the outside though. Definitely unfavourable, but he manages to do so. Anyways, pole sector 3, as he does in the meantime. Can hunting down VS Gamer here. Our virtual support guy. So I think what I had said just moments ago about the setup situation does definitely apply to Cam. Having chosen such a dry setup, he was obviously always going to suffer in the wet race, but being able to come in here and execute in this feature race is all he needed. While the conditions are obviously not wet in this race, I was expecting more crashes. Clearly I think you can now blame all the events in the previous race on the variable that was rain. Virtual safety car deployed. So there goes my little speech about thinking about more crashes. Commentator's curse returns once again. Who had crashed is the question though. All drivers are on track. Nobody has retired. In this case it may be harder to tell who has actually been the retiree. Virtual safety car obviously differs from the main safety car by the fact that it forces drivers to reach a certain threshold of speed, which Offic has neglected, giving him a lovely drive-through penalty. Meanwhile, DRS is enabled for the first time since qualifying, where races obviously do not allow that to happen. And the Rapster will now have more action behind him, especially given the really long start-finish straight. So what he needs to do at this point is simply extend the gap. I might say simply, but it definitely isn't a simple task. And on such a circuit where risking anything can really cost you the wall, this might not be the safest option. Not penalties, but penalties as well. But pit stops come into play in this race. And there we go, Offic retires from the session. So unlucky weekend for him. He's clearly been really quick in qualifying and has proved that he did deserve to compete here, but luck just simply wasn't on his side. Max meanwhile, pole sector in P2. P4, sorry. Sector 2, that's what I was referring to. For those interested, the Chelsea-Liverpool game has just gone into penalties. We are now awaiting such a sequence to begin. Which is why I imagine only one of you is actually watching. VS Gamer sets a fast slap here. Lovely stuff. Very lovely stuff. And, oh, thought I'd missed something, and there we go. Can Dogger VS Gamer can. Maybe the setup hasn't helped as much as he had hoped, as he now has to strive and defend. D-Rapster, sorry. D-Rapster. VS Gamer. Can has lost the position. You can see how much risk VS Gamer is coming in and willing to take. And at the end of the day, the risk is what you need in order to have any potential of winning. No risk, no reward. Put it that way. But 8 tenths is never going to be favourable at anybody's advantage, especially if you're trailing 9 tenths now. This is the critical point because these drivers are now approaching the DRS detection zone. This game needs to be within 1 second of the Rapster to have this DRS activated. Will he? It appears as if he's sustaining this little gap. And there goes the DRS. Can obviously right behind him. And, well, Gamer slots into the pits really early. Lap 5:15. But I guess that's what you have to do when you're on these really soft tyres. So, 2 Campos drivers now, P1, P2. Obviously only provisionally, because they still will have to pit, and the out and in laps are going to be critically important. So, what lap do you pit on? It is a question worth answering. A question that every driver will have to answer very soon. Some of them have done so already. Lap 5, I mean, it does really seem early, but given that many drivers will be hopping onto the medium tyre compound, which the Rapster is on here right now, I think it's fair to suggest let us say Tico is on track. That wasn't exactly the way I was planning to finish my sentence, but here we go. Ideal opportunity to dive into the pits. Who will do so? The Rapster doesn't. Can does. Max does. Ben Shapiro does. So let's take a quick look. The Rapster hasn't yet pitted. So this is a major issue because he's now, similar to Lewis Hamilton in one of the recent races, is going to be hoping for a safety car. The majority of the drivers have pitted. off I to leave the session. Shame you won't join us to finish watching this lovely little race. Under the safety car, of course. If you wish to hear updates from the game, I will now give them to you. Lovely Marcus Alonso from Chelsea sets the first goal of the penalty shootout. With the Chelsea fans right behind him, in front of him I should say. He now steps towards the goal and he will be having to defend the box from Miller. Very strong shooter, obviously. Liverpool strikes back. Anyways, as we strike back on track, red, lovely Mercedes safety car on track, following the Rapster and Can. If you take a look at stops, you can now see that the Rapster is the only driver on track without a stop. So truly the attempt to mix up the strategy has played massively in his disadvantage. No position change here, not exactly legal. Imagine being the safety car driver here, and you have to go up the castle section. How much stress are you feeling? I mean, you're driving a car worth a fraction of the price of the cars behind you, but nevertheless, it's still, let's say Mercedes AMG is still quite expensive, put it that way. Overall, the gradient difference around this track is quite massive. So we're about halfway through the race now, and the safety car is still on track. And there goes the Rapster. So clearly realizing that he needs to pit, and that doesn't go in his favour. Whether he's gonna have to change his wing, we're about to find out. Really pitting earlier could have guaranteed him the chance to remain at top of this group of drivers. Long stop. P11 now, so he goes from P1, something really hardly earned, to P11. Yellow flag still on track. caused by rain early on. So we go lap 8, see if we got still on track. No notice about it returning back into the pits. Oh, once again, for those of you interested in the FA Cup, it's now all in the hands of Mendy. Liverpool has scored all 4 penalties so far. Oh man, never mind. We are green. So, Max now finds himself in position to try and slot in here. So is VS Gamer. Ben Shapiro back on top to his glory days from last season. And there you go, P2 already in contention. VS Gamer down the inside, 90 degrees to the left, not available yet is the position to him. We see some moves downfield, but our eyes are all fixed at top of this table of drivers. For those interested, Mendy just saved the penalty, meaning that Chelsea lives on. One more round of penalties. This is exactly what the Blues needed. I don't know why I'm commentating that. Wow, there's a crash on track. There's been Max. But please forgive me. This is the point at which either team can be crowned winner of the FA Cup. Zaya comes up. There's a blue flare on the field. Safety car once again on our track, so we can turn our eyes comfortably. Don't drive and drink. Don't listen to your. Don't watch your phone while you're driving. But you can listen to me while you're driving in this Formula 2 race. Zayek is about to come in, step up, take the penalty. This could be the decisive penalty for Chelsea. The flare has been removed from the field. It's now, funny enough, visible to drivers more than it has been before. Everybody drives through the pit lane. Zayek scores. Zayek scores. Liverpool is now on the back foot. They must now score this penalty to live on themselves. What may happen here? What a turn of events. Not just on track here, as we have only 10 drivers still racing, but in the game. Big man Jota comes up to the penalty spot. Adrenaline flowing. through every vein in his body. Fight or flight. Jota Bimendi. Jota scores. Makes it 5-5. This Formula 2 stream has quite quickly turned into a stream of football. But put it this way, you only get one FA Cup final every while. And since we're driving on Baku, we have quite a few safety car periods to enjoy ourselves watching the game. Mount, youngster from London, comes up and defends the Blues. Marvy Allison, confidence in either man's eyes. The moment he's been waited for. Flips. Allison saves. One-handed. This is what the team from North England needed once again. A flip of luck. Take a look at the reps today, back in our game. P4, having made the pit a bit late. The safety car remains on track for another lap. And the final penalty of the game could be coming up. I'm feeling so much adrenaline in myself right now. I'm going to close my laptop right now and I'm going to forget I ever watched this game, okay? I'm going to concentrate on what we have ahead of us here, which is the Formula 2 race. In NRL. Safety car's been up for quite a few laps. I'd like to say it's unrealistic at this point. It's still flashing in this safety car. It appears as if they're going to take one more lap around this track. Clearly enjoying themselves. Or zizers themselves, as I should say nowadays. Otherwise I'll be cancelled. Okay, the safety car speeds off. Lights are off. Safety car will be in this lap. So all is in the hands of Can. 4 laps left in this race. 3 after we finish this one. After this one finishes, yes. How far up can either driver move? Can still swerving from side to side. Has to protect himself from Villas Gamer. Right behind him. So he's going to take it right up to the line. Max goes into the pits. Ken doesn't. Look at that, Oscar making a massive dive bomb up a few cars there. Grabbing 3rd instantly, I believe he was 5th right before the move there. You can see Ben Shapiro trying to make a move as Zorba himself gets attacked. Zorba is the victim of the Rapsters' overtake attempt. 3 viewers, so I think a bunch of you went to watch the penalties. By a bunch I mean one person. But in context of our little stream, there is quite a few people. Or quite a large proportion, I should say. So laps over 15 after this one, 2 left in the race. Close battles up here, but what I'd like to turn your attention to is the simple fact that the gap between the drivers here at the front is very, very small. Literally anything can happen in this point. Sector 1 gets another yellow flag. So at this point, as much as it may be interesting to watch a red car or drive around the track, and no, I'm not speaking about Ferrari, I'm speaking about Mercedes actually. I don't think a safety car is what we need. Purple sector 3 there for Fiskema, with a less than half second gap to Can in front who are watching right now. He can attempt to make a move any moment now. 3 attempts. I think the castle section will be seeing Fiskema go in front at that point. Let's move up here behind. Grabster back into 4th. Clearly definitely regretting his decision of not diving in the pits earlier when he had the chance during the first safety car period. Slight spin, so here we go, I was slightly wrong. This game is not ahead yet, and then instead of being ahead into the castle section, he smacks the castle section with his front wing. Basically, he hasn't sustained too much damage, but he is instead appearing to let Oscar go. He was obviously on fresher tyres, and accidentally it appears as if he's going to have to step away for the Rapster. So there he goes, spins once again. Oh, the Rapster goes off as well. I was about to say it was his, slightly maybe his fault there, but instead he gets punished on track already. Punished with the fact that instead of being a P3, he's going to have to finish the race driving home in P8. Meanwhile, Kid on smoke. Smoking kid. Kid whose parents smoke, I don't know. Kid on smoke. Overtaking Zorba there. And Can starting to dominate once again. Quite easily in fact. Beating P1. With such a gap, 1.5. All this action that we just saw, it's putting Ben Shapiro in 3rd. Probably where the fish from Scotland would have finished if he had raced today. Oh, and another touch there off the wall. That castle section is definitely enjoying itself there today. Tons of action around it. And now Oscar, 1.8 seconds, with 1 lap after this to catch up on Can. Clearly a really good setup he has in terms of corners. Cornering has been his advantage all day long, all weekend long. Max found himself in the pit after being lapped. But 1.9 is the difference now between Can and Oscar. I don't think you can really catch up at this point. Well, who knows, anything is possible. We've seen a bunch of drivers crash out at random moments this race. Well, we don't wish that on anyone. It's clearly still a possibility. Canada with a 151.7 sets the fastest lap. So there you go, there's a justification for Oscar not being able to close in on him. And there you go, Oscar receives a 3-second time penalty. Let's take a look at penalties in general. So Oscar with a 3-second time penalty, if current differences hold up, is going to remain in P3, or move down to P3. It's clearly increasing the gap to Ben Shapiro, but he still has 3/10 to clear, and he has just 1 lap left. Meanwhile, the baby 8 seconds. That's gone dropping down severely. 3 seconds for Kid and Smoke. Smoke on Kid. Kid smoking. Yes, Kid smoking. And then Max has 3 seconds, but that isn't going to change much, considering the fact that he already is lapped. So there you go, can easily screw away in this raceway, in a positive way of course, if that's possible. But my eyes would be on the difference between these two drivers, Oscar and Ben Shapiro. Now look, at some point this is going to be a difference of over 3 seconds, but the point hasn't yet been reached, which is going to be a severe problem if you consider Oscar's position here in this race. VS came a DNFs on the last lap of the race, and now this is the defining moment. 2.9 seconds, 2.92, 2.93. Whether this is going to reach around 3 seconds, it appears not. There you go, 3 seconds the difference. Keeps moving up and down. So there you go. Ben Shapiro finishes just 0.03 of a second behind Oscar, who was lucky enough to manage to handle the 3-second time penalty he was awarded earlier. Oh, what was going on there? Kid on Smoke enjoying a lovely hit in the wall. Who doesn't? So Max, Super Max finishing the race with a lovely lap. Go ahead and buy that baby. Who decided to similar to one of the drivers before, crash out and lose a tyre. I don't know what you like to do in your free time, but taking tyres off my cars, now that I have one, isn't definitely on my list of priorities. Well deserved win for Turkey. Absolute dominance in the weekend. And there you go, so around lovely 27 points, 35 points I should say, for Can. That is the absolute dominance that he can produce. So Campus, I mean, if you're the team principal of such a team, you are definitely happy with what you got in this driver. Orfek, I think, unluckiest driver of the day, to be all the way down 13, total no points. Connection issues and a crash cost him everything we saw today. Anyway, all of you run away from the stream. I'll take we will end it there. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next week. Bye.